Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm bringing you my WWE Battleground 2014 review. Coming into the show, there was a great match card, and honestly, last year's Battleground was a huge disappointment, so I thought Battleground this year had to be better than last year's show, and in my opinion they did achieve this, but still the show was a big disappointment. So in this video I'm going to review the whole show of Battleground 2014, tell you guys what I liked and didn't like about every single match, and then at the end of the video I'll give a rating of what I thought of the full show. So we're going to sit tight, watch this video, listen to what I have to say. We're going to start off with the kickoff show, work our way through every single match. I'm going to review every match, and then at the end, I'll give a review about the whole show, give a rating, but what I want you guys to do is do exactly the same. So say what you liked about the show, say what you didn't like about the show, and just do a little review in the comment section, maybe give a rating, something like that I can look at and see what you guys thought about Battleground 2014. Going into the show, I thought we had a pretty decent match card, and I thought that we were going to have an excellent pay-per-view. I was also really disappointed about last year's Battleground, so I thought surely that it could be better than last year's show. I do believe they did achieve this, but still the pay-per-view was a huge disappointment. I thought at the start of the night it had huge potential, but still it didn't quite reach all that potential it had, and kind of fell a bit flat on its face in the end. So in this video, we're going to start off with the kickoff show, and in my honest opinion, was the biggest waste of half an hour of wrestling I have ever seen. Why did they have to put two matches on the kickoff show? I have no idea. What was the deal with that? Why put two on? Why even have one on? Because they both sucked, and they really were a terrible waste of time. I just can't understand why they'd put two on there. Never mind one, they both sucked. So why have two on there? So we had Adam Rose against Fandango. Now why was this even on the show? Adam Rose against Fandango. Does anybody care about Adam Rose against Fandango? This match was all about Fandango losing Summer Rae and Layla to Adam Rose. Now this isn't going to last. They're not going to stick around with Adam Rose. I don't understand what they see with Fandango mixing this stupid soap opera kind of role. I mean, we don't like this stupid storyline between Layla and Summer Rae and Fandango. Just end it. Why do you have to continue it on the pay-per-view? We never cared about it in the first place, so why have a match that has something to do with it on the pay-per-view? We did not care about it in the first place, but yet they still feel like booking it on the pay-per-view about Fandango in this stupid soap opera kind of role. I mean, it's not even a wrestling storyline. It's a soap storyline of cheating and having two girls at once, and then him losing both of them. It's not a wrestling storyline. It's a stupid soap opera storyline we never cared about in the first place. So why put it on the pay-per-view? We do not care. The match lasted about 2 minutes. It was a huge waste of time. The entrances probably lasted longer than the actual match. Adam Rose hit the spine buster and then his finisher and picked up the win on Fandango. It was a huge waste of time. Achieves nothing. There's no storyline progression whatsoever. That's pretty much the end of Summer Rae, Layla and Fandango, I hope. I mean, it shouldn't have started in the first place because I never cared in the first place. But finally, this should be the end of Fandango, Summer Rae and Layla's storyline. But that's pretty much that. It achieved nothing. It was a huge waste of 2 minutes on the kickoff show. I honestly would have preferred to see Cameron and Naomi given this time. Rather than having two matches on the kickoff show, they should have just had Cameron and Naomi. Give them more time. Because in the long run, Adam Rose and Fandango means a lot less than Cameron against Naomi. Huge waste of time, 1 out of 10. The next match, well, I want to talk about Fandango. Firstly, he deserves so much better than this. This time last year, kind of like this time last year, he got a big win over Chris Jericho at WrestleMania. But now he's dropping to Adam Rose on the kickoff show in a soap opera storyline. What is that? Jesus, it's nearly as bad as Damien Sandow. Anyway, 1 out of 10 for that match. Huge disappointment. The next match and the second match of the kickoff show, once again, why did we have two matches on the kickoff show? They both sucked. But Cameron against Naomi, in my honest opinion, I never wanted to see Cameron and Naomi break up. So it was a huge disappointment when this match was announced that Cameron and Naomi would face each other. There was nothing wrong with them being in this alliance in the first place. Why did you break them up? They're not going to do half as well as they were as a tag team in singles competition. I honestly think there was no point breaking them up, so I didn't want to see this match full stop. Now, one thing I want to comment about first is Cameron's new music sucks, but I do like how they've kept Naomi's with the normal Funkadactyl's theme tune. But I was really confused. They've completely changed what both of them look like. I mean, they've completely had a hair change. There's a completely new costume for each other. They just looked completely different and did not look like the normal Funkadactyls. Yes, I know they've broken up and they're not together anymore, but they just like completely changed. They were wearing completely different things to what we're used to seeing them wearing. Their hair was different. They just looked completely different and it just looked weird. But we then got Cameron against Naomi. Now, this was just a cat fight. There was no technical wrestling whatsoever in this match. It was a huge disappointment and just confirms to me is they should have just kept them together as a tag team. This just proves that they're not going to go far in singles competition because their first singles match with them breaking away from each other sucked. So what's going to bring, when they go on to singles competition on their own, what's to say that that's going to be any better than this? Because this match sucked. It was a complete waste of time. It was horrible. There was no technical wrestling whatsoever. It was pretty much like two sisters fighting next to the sofa or something like on the carpet or something. It was not wrestling. It was just a cat fight. Ugh. Why did you break them up? They were fine. They were doing fine together. Why break them up? They're going to fail as single competitors. Now, Naomi probably bought the best match out of Paige last month at the pay-per-view, but she just sucked here. They just sucked. I mean, I guess they traveled together. They've worked together. They practiced together. It didn't seem like that. It just seemed like they'd just been thrown together in a match. It was a huge disappointment. They had no chemistry. I mean, it was literally a cat fight. It was a huge disappointment. There was nothing. There was just nothing. It was just, I could get in the ring and have a better entertaining fight than that. There was just nothing there. The only thing that I do think it achieved was cementing Cameron's new heel gimmick. Now, I did predict that if Cameron was going to get the win, like I said, that she was going to get it in some kind of heelish role. So she was going to use a weapon, or she was going to get a roll-up pin, or she was going to kind of climb on the second rope and use it as leverage, something like that. But what she did use was using the tights and pulled the tights up on Naomi so that she could get leverage, and she got the roll-up pin. So she won in heelish fashion and got a cheap win over Naomi. Now that does actually achieve quite a lot, because it cements Cameron using this new heelish gimmick. So she wins in cheap fashion using the roll-up pin. She cheats her way to victory using pulling up the tights. And yeah, she pretty much steals the victory. So I'm really glad that they gave the win to Cameron, because she was the one that turned heel. She was the one that changed her gimmick from a babyface to a heel. She needed the win more. She needed to prove to everybody that she's the real deal. She's now turned heel. She needed this win. She's picked up some momentum and she can now run with this new heel gimmick. Maybe not run with it because the match sucked, but she definitely needs the win over Naomi, because Naomi's still a babyface. She really hasn't changed anything about her gimmick. Cameron, she was the one that turned heel. She needed the win more, and that's exactly what we got here. It was great how they did the finish, because yes, it gives heel heat to Cameron because she won with the roll-up pin, but it's a cheap victory, so Naomi doesn't lose a lot of momentum because it was only a roll-up pin. But for this match, the match sucked. The ending was clever and put some good heel heat to Cameron, but apart from that, it was a cat fight. I'll give it a 3 out of 10. So far, the kickoff show was pretty much a huge waste of time. Really, if you didn't watch it, don't go back and watch it, because it sucked and I would not recommend mend it. It was probably the worst 30 minutes of wrestling out of the whole of 2014. Really, I'm not even kidding. So, we then kicked off with the best match of the night, in my opinion, the WWE Tag Team Championship match between the Usos against the Wyatt family. Now, the match at Money in the Bank was epic. The match at this Battleground was epic. It was probably even better than the one at Money in the Bank. I'm not sure which one was better. I really cannot decide. But the only thing I can tell you was that they were both fucking epic. This match was match of the night. I believe this match stole the absolute show out of Battleground. It was so good. I was so into it. During the match, where every time the Wyatt family went for a pin, I was counting with the referee. 1, 2. I was so freaking into it. I was under my covers. Like, I was wrapped up in my covers watching the show, and at one point I'd thrown them off and I was just glued to the screen. I was so into this match. The crowd was so into this match. The commentary team was so into this match. It was absolutely breathtaking. The pacing was on. There was some brilliant spots during this match. It just had a big fight feel, and this was one of the best matches of 2014 so far. Absolutely amazing. In my opinion, the best match of 2014 so far was probably the Wyatts versus the Shield at Elimination Chamber. And yet again, this match had the Wyatts in. The Wyatts know how to put on a good fucking match. And this was absolutely fantastic. Yes, the Usos did retain the championships, which was a huge disappointment. I couldn't understand why they booked this match again for the Usos to retain again. I thought it was the Wyatts' time. I thought surely they've booked this match because they believe the Wyatts are ready and they want to put the belts on the Wyatts. Why would they book this match again for the Usos to retain like they did at the last pay-per-view? It seemed like they set it up for the Wyatts to win. But no, I was really disappointed, and I know everybody on Twitter and even in the crowd were hugely disappointed when they saw the Usos were about to win, because as soon as they hit that double splash, which looked epic by the way, that was a really unique move they did, the crowd booed and they knew that they were closing in on the Usos retaining their championship. Yes, it is a bit of a bad taste in my mouth because the match was so good, but the result just didn't go my way. I really wanted the Wyatt family to win. I know a majority of the people on Twitter wanted the Wyatt family to win, but you've got to remember, the people on Twitter, the YouTube community, everybody that talks on the internet about WWE is just a small minority within the WWE community. A majority of the fans did want to see the Usos retain here because they're the favourites. The Usos were the favourites. So a lot of people might be saying, well, everybody wanted the Wyatt family to win. No, we're in the minority here. A majority of fans would have wanted the Usos to win. We're just really disappointed that it's not the Wyatts which won here. Now, I did say at the last pay-per-view that I really want to see the Usos drop the belts because I want to see somebody new have the belts. I want to see somebody given the belts and run with it. And I thought that they were going to give the Wyatts the belts here, let them run with it, and create some more tag team stars. I thought they were going to do it at the pay-per-view before, and they didn't do it. And when they didn't do it at this pay-per-view, I was even more extremely disappointed because 1, the Wyatts didn't win, and 2, the match was probably even more epic than the last pay-per-view before, but I just feel like it tainted an epic match. I feel like the match was brilliant, but really, really, really dropped the ball by giving the Usos the win. I was so disappointed that the Usos won. I think it ruined the match for me that the Usos won. I know it's really unfair to say that because the match was really entertaining and the Usos and the Wyatts both made the match, but I really wanted to see the Wyatt family winning. I know all you guys listening wanted to see the Wyatt family winning. We all did, and it was a huge disappointment. Now, I wouldn't put it past WWE to give the Wyatt family the tag team titles tonight on Raw, but I wanted to see it on the pay-per-view. I wanted to see them win it on the pay-per-view. The match was fucking awesome, but how good would it have been for the Wyatts to win the tag team titles? And it would have been even more important considering what happened to Bray Wyatt later on in the show. What have the Wyatts done wrong backstage? None of them won tonight. Huge disappointment. Arguably the best gimmick in the WWE right now, and none of them got the win. Huge disappointment. The match itself, I'll give it a 9 out of 10. The Usos retaining? Come on, I want to see some new tag team titles. They've been the champions for 4 months now, even though they're still epic and probably got the best pop of the night. Come on, I want to see somebody new as the champions. 4 months is a decent run. Let the Wyatts have it, please. So, 9 out of 10, best match of the night. And probably the worst match of the night on the actual match card, not the kickoff show, was probably AJ Lee taking on Paige. Now this was dubbed as the #1 Divas match you had to see. Before Paige debuted, everybody was talking about AJ against Paige. When was it going to happen and how good it would be when it finally happened. So we actually got the first pay-per-view match between AJ Lee and Paige tonight. And wow, I'm so surprised how disappointing, how sloppy, and how much this match sucked. Now, going into this match, a lot of people thought that this might be one of the matches of the night. I thought there was huge potential for match of the night tonight. I thought there was the Tag Team Championship match, AJ against Paige. Rusev against Swagger could have been a great match. Ambrose against Rollins, Jericho against Bray Wyatt. And then you even had the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. Easily, a few of them matches could have been match of the night. And I definitely thought AJ against Paige could have been match of the night. Ended up being probably the worst match of the night. Very, very sloppy, a lot of botching. You could hear them clearly talking the whole way through the match. It just didn't deliver. And what else didn't deliver was that they just didn't give it enough time. I thought the match ended way too quickly. I think that we could have been given another 5 to 10 minutes of this match, and I would have much rather seen that than the match we saw. Now, the match was sloppy, disappointing, but I definitely feel like it wasn't given enough time in the end. 5 or 10 minutes more. At the end of the match, it did seem like it was getting slightly better. The pacing was quickening up, and it looked a bit more fluid. And then it just ended. I felt like I needed 5 or 10 minutes more to get into the match. And I wasn't given that. And honestly, are they going to go with this match at SummerSlam? Risky. Because this match sucked. It was so sloppy. It was botchy. I mean, Paige went for the sunset flip. And pretty much AJ landed on her nose. It was such a major botch. This match was... This match, let's just forget about this match because the biggest disappointment of the night. I mean, it was so predictable. AJ was winning, so the match had to deliver. The match had to be entertaining, or it would have just been a typical Divas match, which was too predictable. And it's exactly what we got. A boring Divas match, sloppy, boring, everything that we're used to seeing in a Divas match. It was probably dubbed before the match the best Divas match of 2014. Naomi versus Paige was better at the last pay-per-view. And I didn't enjoy that match either. Now, I don't know what it's about Paige, but honestly, every match I've seen her in since she's come to the main roster has sucked. I said it on Twitter, I believe she's overrated. Now, I never saw her perform in NXT because I don't watch it, so before she went in WWE, I was going off what everybody else said or told me. So far, what I've seen, overrated. Overrated. I have not seen anything special about this girl whatsoever. Honestly, you might call me an idiot, but I really haven't. Tell me a good match which she's had since she came to the main roster, which has been above par. There isn't a single one. I'm sorry. Her Divas title reign also sucked too. So I don't know what's up with this girl. What's happened? Was she ever any good? Is she just overrated? But I know this match was a huge disappointment and my biggest disappointment of the night. So I'll give it a 5 out of 10. The next match was Rusev against Jack Swagger. Now, I was actually really looking forward to this match because I'm actually quite a big Jack Swagger fan. And this was actually Jack Swagger's biggest or sorry, his first time being a babyface in the WWE, so quite intriguing. Now, I did predict Rusev was going to win this match like he did, but I was actually quite surprised in the ending, and what I was also surprised about was that they didn't actually give Jack Swagger the win, considering what's happening with the Malaysian Airlines and what happened over there with Russia and the Ukraine. Usually WWE is very sensitive to that kind of thing and likes to prove that America is better than another country. Now, it is a bit of a coincidence that this feud is America against Russia, so I did put it on Twitter earlier before the pay-per-view that maybe they might think about giving Swagger the win, considering what's happened with Russia over the last few days, that they might give USA the win to prove that USA is the more dominant country and kind of be like a little bit of a kind of like a bitchy thing for WWE to put the American to win against the Russian. I thought that they might switch the tables and do that, but no, they still stuck with the gun and give Rusev the win. Now, there were talks this weekend that they're actually going to pull the plug on the Rusev gimmick due to what's happening with Russia at the moment, so I also thought maybe they'd give Swagger the win. Maybe Rusev's push is just completely useless, considering they are going to pull the plug on it in the end. But Rusev, yes, once again gets the win, and he's still picking up these wins. Now, honestly, he's not lost a match yet, and he's still having that debut push, which he had the night after WrestleMania. I mean, he's still part of the push that he'd got originally when he first debuted. I mean, are you entertained by this guy? I was bored of Rusev the first month. I mean, it's squash match after squash match after squash match after squash match, and you've just buried a completely decent face turn for Jack Swagger. And if they're going to pull the plug on Rusev, then the last 3 months of building this guy up will be a complete waste of time. And honestly, all the matches I've seen Rusev in, where they've been building this guy up from his debut, have been really boring. We've had to sit through months and months and months of squash matches. So if they're thinking about pulling the plug on this guy, I'm going to be really pissed off, because how many times have we had to sit for a boring Rusev squash match? And if it ends up being a complete waste of time, wow, I'd be really pissed off. But I was so happy Jack Swagger turned and became a babyface, but he's fed to Rusev and earned a loss. Now, I was really happy with WWE that they booked Jack Swagger to get the count out. He wasn't actually beaten by pinfall, he was beaten by count out, which was actually a big surprise. I thought they were just going to beat Jack Swagger clean. So it might mean that they're actually going to head towards a match at SummerSlam, which will open the door for some much more build. Now, the build on Monday Night Raw this week was great. It was an awesome segment, and I definitely think there's a lot more into this. There's a lot more into this storyline that they could do. There's definitely a lot more than that they can do between Rusev and Jack Swagger. So honestly, personally, if they do this match at SummerSlam again, great. Now, the big positive I want to take out of Battleground tonight is finally WWE seems like they're actually planning ahead. A lot of these matches will continue at SummerSlam, and you can definitely tell that they're definitely planning ahead for this Rusev and Swagger match. They're definitely planning ahead for a possible SummerSlam match. The Rollins and Ambrose feud, definitely planning ahead for that SummerSlam match. Jericho against Bray Wyatt, I thought at the start of the night it might continue to SummerSlam, but maybe not anymore. And John Cena, they're definitely planning ahead for SummerSlam, which is great to see. Usually it's always last minute and they don't know what direction they're heading. Definitely seems like they do know where they're going for this SummerSlam. Now, I'm actually happy they're going to do Rusev against Jack Swagger at SummerSlam, maybe, because Swagger wasn't beaten clean here. Seems like it opens the door for a rematch at the pay-per-view next month. But the match itself was a disappointment. Now, I've said it loads of times, I'm never a big fan of a big guy against a big guy. They just don't work well in the ring. I think they're an attraction to the eye, but they're never entertaining. And I wasn't entertained by this match. It just didn't deliver. It was just an average Raw match you'd see. Nothing that spectacular. And I think we all knew Rusev was going to win in the end. So a predictable match like that, you're already turned off before it's even started. Now, one huge disappointment about this match was the crowd. I thought Swagger was going to be a lot more over than he was during this match. I mean, the crowd was really dead during this match, and I was surprised because the segment on Raw told me otherwise. The segment on Raw told me Swagger was probably the most over guy on the roster, bar maybe Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose at that current time. But tonight, Swagger was not over at all, and I was shocked. The crowd really didn't really care that much for Swagger. I mean, there was a USA chant for a bit. There was a "We the People" a few times quite loud, but apart from that, the crowd was pretty dead during this match, and I think we're all, at this point, a bit bored of Rusev. I mean, it's squash match after squash match after squash match. When are we going to see a decent opponent face Rusev, who actually seems like he's going to beat Rusev? I thought they were going to do it tonight at the pay-per-view. I thought Swagger was the first real opponent Rusev would had, but once again, the match lasted about 5 minutes, and that was about it. So I'm just bored of Rusev. I honestly am. So I'm going to give that match a 7 out of 10. The build towards it was great. The storytelling towards it was fantastic. Yes, it was a typical America versus European kind of feud, but the storytelling was interesting. I was really into the storyline, but as soon as the bell rang, the match just didn't deliver on the big stage, on the grand stage of them all. It just didn't. And I'm happy they gave the count out, but yeah. Do I want to see it again at SummerSlam, considering this match wasn't that good? No, I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. Now, the next match was going to be Seth Rollins against Dean Ambrose. Now, I have a huge rant to make about this. Now, I do know a lot of people who watched this watched it on the WWE Network. I know that. I know you watched it on the WWE Network. So, you didn't technically pay to watch this show. You paid for the subscription fee to the network. You didn't pay to watch this pay-per-view. But the few people that did actually buy the pay-per-view, for whatever how much it is, it's about 15 quid in the UK. It's about $60 in the USA in HD, right? Quite a lot of money. And I think the big selling point about this pay-per-view was Rollins against Ambrose. So a lot of people who called up their TV company wanting to buy this pay-per-view would have been really excited about Rollins against Ambrose. They might have had a chat to the person at the other end saying, "Oh, I would like to order Battleground. I can't bloody wait for Rollins against Ambrose." But when the pay-per-view comes on air, we find out we're not going to get that match. So imagine spending all that money and the match never happens. That's like buying a big boxing match on Box Office and it lasting 1 round. It's just a huge disappointment. I mean, it's in WWE's hands. It's not like a boxing match where it's not in the hands. Well, it literally is in the hands, but they've booked it so that we didn't get Rollins and Ambrose tonight. I understand that they're building towards this huge, epic, once-in-a-lifetime maybe match at SummerSlam that's going to blow the LA roof off because we've waited so long to finally see the match. But there's going to be a lot of people that are disappointed that they paid to watch this pay-per-view and they never got to see the match that they really wanted to see. They've had to shell out $60. That's maybe 1 or 2 days full wages. Maybe to see that big match which I really wanted to see myself. And we didn't get to see it. We didn't get to see it. I would have much rather seen them start this match. For them to actually ring the bell, start the match, and it end in a brawl or maybe a count out. But for it to not even start? Damn. It didn't even start. I mean, could it have ended in like a double DQ or a double count out or something like that? But for it not even to start or take place? Come on. People wanted to see it. Now, I did really enjoy the build towards the Rollins and Ambrose match tonight. It was great. We saw an interview which ended in a brawl and Ambrose getting kicked out. We saw Rollins insist that he got told that he won the match by forfeit, which was great heel heat for Seth Rollins and a great promo in the middle of the ring by Rollins, by the way. Ambrose came out and the brawl was incredible. The crowd popped for the brawl. But we wanted to see that match. Now, I understand they are building towards that SummerSlam match, but we wanted to see the bloody match. But it's great build. It really is great build. And I cannot wait for 4 weeks to see that match finally. I honestly can. It's going to be fucking awesome when it finally does happen. And the build towards that match tonight was great. It really was. And it was topped off by a car park lot brawl between Rollins and Ambrose. Ambrose was fucking hiding in the boot of a car, and then he attacked Rollins, and Rollins drove off in the car. What a great segment that was. I mean, when was the last time we saw something as epic as that in the PG era, or the reality era? We haven't seen that for ages. This is great building. Awesome storytelling. Gripping. Fantastic. One of the most positive things from the show tonight was that. It was awesome. But I still wanted to see the match. I'm not going to let it go. I wanted to see the match. But I understand it's all part of this build and this slow burn towards that match. It's going to be a huge payoff when we finally see the match. And that's exactly what they want. So I'll give that match a 0 out of 10. Dean Ambrose against Rollins because I really wanted to see it. By the way, Rusev against Jack Swagger, I will give that match a 5 out of... Oh, I gave it a 7 out of 10, didn't I? Something like that. Jericho against Bray Wyatt. Wow. 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 This match was a huge surprise. Chris Jericho getting the win? Really? Now, I know that Chris Jericho, this is his first pay-per-view match since coming back. And a lot of people call Rob Van Dam the jobber. Or just give him names such as a jobber. Or just squasher. Or stuff like that. I call him names to suggest that he just doesn't do anything except put people over. And he never gets a big win. But then people complain that Chris Jericho gets a win. Now, I don't know what to do about this because I think Jericho needed to establish himself because ever since Rob Van Dam came back, he's just lost every single match. And every single a guy like this comes back like a Jericho or like a Rob Van Dam, they always spend their whole time putting people over, but never get a win themselves, never build themselves up. So when they're putting these people over, they're not really built themselves up themselves that well. So it just doesn't work as well. So I can see why they've maybe given Jericho the win here to establish himself, prove that he's back, and giving him that big important win to start his run off again. They've established himself by giving him the win over Bray Wyatt. But by God, Bray Wyatt needed the win a lot more. A hell of a lot more. Wow. I can't believe it. Oh my God. I can't believe that both Wyatt's matches, they didn't win. I was so shocked. As soon as he hit that code breaker, I was like, surely he's not going to kick out of that. Surely he's not going to just no-sell the code breaker. And I was right. I was like, wow. A 3 count just like that and the match is over? I mean, Bray Wyatt lost at Money in the Bank. Bray Wyatt lost at Payback against John Cena. And now he lost tonight at Battleground. That's 3 in a row. That's 3 pay-per-views Bray Wyatt's lost in a row. And in my opinion, he's the best gimmick WWE has right now. He's one of the most over heels they have, maybe bar Seth Rollins. Triple H. It's about it. Main guys on the roster. The most over heel they have. The best faction they have. The only faction they have. The best gimmick they've had in years. And he's on a 3 pay-per-view loss streak. Kind of starting to remind me a bit of Ryback now. Who just slumped. And it's a huge disappointment. I mean, I've been willing for Jericho to come back and finally give Bray Wyatt that win he needed against John Cena to propel him to the main event level. And then when we get Chris Jericho against Bray Wyatt, Chris Jericho is the one that goes over. I'm shocked at Chris, to be honest. I thought he'd want to put over Bray Wyatt. Jericho already has a win over Bray Wyatt in NXT last year. But they then gave the win to Jericho again tonight at the pay-per-view. A big stage, a big match for Bray Wyatt to prove that he can hang with the biggest of them all. Something to put Bray Wyatt back on the map. A win over Bray Wyatt. And they give the win to Chris Jericho. Yes, they're establishing him back in the WWE. But in the long run, what are they going to do with this win? Nothing. Yes, it's thrown a curveball in there. You're shocked. It's unpredictable that Jericho won here. But unpredictable or not, I'm just pissed off Bray Wyatt didn't get the win here. And how easy it was for Chris Jericho to win. I mean, it was a simple code breaker out of nowhere. There was no Walls of Jericho multiple times, no multiple code breakers, no, there wasn't even a lion saw hit properly. He just won with a code breaker out of nowhere like that. Like a standard Monday Night Raw finish. And Bray Wyatt loses like that, his 3rd pay-per-view loss in a row. Just like that. Wow. Oh my god. What have the Wyatt family done backstage to deserve this? I thought they were damn right winning the tag team titles, and I thought they were damn right winning against Chris Jericho. Wow. I'm shocked because I love Bray Wyatt, but this is going to hit him hard. I mean, I was not into this match for a start off because I'm just not interested in Bray Wyatt at the moment. His promos have gone downhill. And I thought this match was really predictable. I thought it had Bray Wyatt written all over it. And wow, I was wrong. But well done for WWE for making it unpredictable. But what the hell are you doing with Bray Wyatt? And the match sucked. I mean, nah, it didn't suck. But Bray Wyatt has had a lot better matches this year. His match against Daniel Bryan at the Rumble was freaking awesome. His match against John Cena at WrestleMania was freaking awesome. His match against John Cena at Payback was freaking awesome. His match with the Wyatt family against the Shield at Elimination Chamber was freaking awesome. This match, just average. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad, it was just average. It got the job done in the end. Just not the right job I wanted to see. I wanted to see Bray Wyatt win. We didn't get that. Ugh. Annoying. It really is annoying for a big Bray Wyatt fan. And I thought this might have been match of the night as well. It was just an average match, which just really didn't deliver. It didn't feel like a pay-per-view match, let's be honest. So I'll give it a 6 out of 10. And what are they going to do with that? Momentum-wise, Bray Wyatt is probably got less momentum than Zack Ryder right now. This is not looking good for Bray Wyatt. Oh, God. No way. Anyway, let's move on. To look at somewhere else that's negative. The Miz winning the Intercontinental Championship Battleground Battle Royal. Whose smart idea was this? I mean, The Miz, ever since he came back, yes, he's got a new gimmick, which is awesome. Literally. Awesome. It's awesome, okay? But The Miz hasn't won a match since he returned. But somebody's smart idea was to make him the champion. I mean, how unlegitimate does that feel? that somebody who hasn't even won a match since he's come back is now the champion. Now, yes, it's good storytelling because it works with this heelish gimmick. Like, he doesn't put the work in. He cheats his way through. He doesn't have to necessarily win, but he's the champion. Now, I understand that. He's the heel, but do you feel like he's a legitimate champion? Do you feel like he's a champion? Do you feel like he's got that momentum behind him? Do you feel like he's the creme de la creme? Do you feel like he's at the top? He's a top star when he hasn't even won a match since he returned except this one. Now, I love the way they dealt with this. I love the way they've got this great heat for Miz by making him stay outside the ring and then making him sneak in and put over Ziggler, one of the most over faces in the WWE right now. Fantastic, very clever to do that. Great heel heat for the Miz. But the one thing I didn't like about this match was, they said the whole way through the match, the Miz had only gone under the bottom rope, he hadn't been eliminated. But as soon as it came down to Sheamus and Ziggler, they didn't mention Miz was still in it. I mean, do they think we're dumb? I mean, as soon as it went down to the final two, they completely forgot to mention the Miz hadn't been eliminated. We're not retarded. And then when Miz comes in, you're like, oh my god. They were like, oh my god, I completely forgot about the Miz. They only forgot about the Miz for the last 2 minutes when it was only Ziggler and Sheamus in the ring. It was just stupid. I mean, oh my. That was just one thing that was just dumb about this pay-per-view. I mean, 2 minutes. I mean, the rest of the time they're like, oh my god, the Miz has not been eliminated. As soon as it was the final two, they forgot to mention him. And then as soon as Ziggler was the last one in the ring, they're like, oh my god, what the hell? The Miz, he wasn't eliminated. Oh my god. I mean, that was just dumb. It was just dumb. Great heel heat for Miz, but do you want to see him as the Intercontinental Champion? I was thinking of maybe of a Cesaro winning, because as soon as Brock comes back, the fact that Paul Heyman's kind of left Cesaro, booking for Cesaro's been downright poor recently. He looked so hot after WrestleMania, but now he's just not looking great. I thought a championship like this would keep Cesaro relevant whilst Brock Lesnar's back. I mean, if he's going to stay as a Paul Heyman guy, he's going to ultimately get forgotten about when the Beast Incarnate comes back. So he needs something to keep him relevant. He needs something momentum-wise to keep him up there. He needs something to keep him looking good, like a championship. And I thought Cesaro with the belt would have been a good idea here. Make him come out of that slump he's been getting for the last few months. He looked so good after WrestleMania, but like the last 2 months, he's just been in a little bit of a slump. He lost at Payback. Money in the Bank, he lost as well. And now here he lost as well, so he's got a 3 pay-per-view loss as well. Maybe a championship would have been a good idea to give it to Cesaro, to keep him relevant. He's definitely a top main event star, and I would have much rather seen Cesaro walking around on Raw and SmackDown as the champion rather than The Miz. I mean, ugh. Do you want to see Miz as the Intercontinental Champion? Ugh. A lot of people disappointed it wasn't Bo Dallas. Now, I think it's a bit too early to talk about Bo Dallas being a champion. Ziggler, I've just given up on Ziggler over entirely. I mean, chance after chance after chance, I've just given up on Ziggler. Any match, any Money in the Bank match, Battle Royal, Championship match, I've just given up on Ziggler entirely. Cesaro, like I've just said, I thought that was the perfect scenario. Sheamus, when he does unify the belts, or whoever does unify the belts, it will be in a singles match, a top-built match in a singles match. Did you really want to see Sheamus unifying the belts? He would be my least choice of unifying the belts. I hate the guy. He is so boring. But The Miz being the champion, we'll have to see how it works out, how they book him, but there really wasn't much to choose from, was there? And what happened to Bad News Barrett presenting the champion with the belt? And also, Rob Van Dam was supposed to be in this match, but he wasn't there either. I mean, Bad News Barrett came out and cut a really awful promo. about how the champion would have to eat the bull hammer soon when he comes back from injury. But I thought Bad News Barrett's whole point of being there was to hand the belt to the new champion. That didn't happen. And also, Rob Van Dam wasn't even in the match. They didn't even comment on that. Did he forget to come out? Was he smoking pot backstage? I have no idea, but they just forgot about Rob Van Dam. There must be a reason. Maybe he got injured. I don't know. He wasn't in the match. So I'll give that match a 7 out of 10. It was actually quite an enjoyable Battle Royal. I thought how Ziggler eliminated Sheamus was incredible. That super kick from the battering ram, sweet. Usually I don't enjoy Rumble matches or Battle Royal matches. I usually just watch it to see who wins at the end. Usually the actual match isn't that entertaining. But I actually, to be fair, I let it go. I actually sat there and watched the whole match. And the actual match was quite entertaining. I liked how they all went for Carly at the start. We've seen that before. You could clearly hear them counting for when Carly would push them all out of this circle. That was definitely, you could definitely hear them counting that. 1. They were like 3, 2, 1, and then Carly would push them all. You could definitely hear that. But yeah, I thought some of the eliminations were quite entertaining. How Kofi managed to stay in the whole time. How Big E caught him. I mean, how many times do they want to keep Kofi in a match like this? I mean, they're going to run out of ideas sooner rather than later. I mean, it's just getting a bit of a joke now how many times they can keep him in a match. But yeah, I think when Heath Slater eliminated Cesaro, he got a huge pop. That was quite a cool moment. I think, to be fair, the Battle Royal was a good match. Yes, a good match. But Miz winning, 7 out of 10 for that match, guys. And then the final match, the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match. John Cena, Roman Reigns, Kane, Randy Orton. First thing first, I actually liked Randy Orton. He had some blue shorts on, blue pants on, which looked cooler than the standard black pants. I remember in the good old days when he used to wear orange pants when he first won his World Championship against, he shall not be named, Chris Benoit at that SummerSlam 2004, sorry. Do you remember that? When Randy won his first title, he wore them orange pants. He wore blue pants tonight. They looked pretty cool. I think he should carry on wearing them, by the way. I'm not some kind of like fashion expert or something, but they look damn cool. We all know that the spot during this match would be that Kane and Randy Orton weren't going to get on. They were going to turn on each other. It was inevitable. It was going to happen in the end. We all knew it was going to happen in the end. So when it did happen, I wasn't too fussed because it was bound to happen. I mean, the crowd really didn't react because we all knew it was going to happen in the end. I liked how during the match they were avoiding having Cena and Reigns fight. Now, I was surprised that they made them fight at all because, in my opinion, they're going to keep these guys away from each other as much as possible. Because as soon as they're going to try and make Roman Reigns the next John Cena, but they're never going to have them cross paths. Because they don't want to do that. They don't want to mix them both together because they both want to keep these guys as the top 2 guys. They're never going to have a match. They probably never will. So I was surprised that they actually had a bit of a fight during this match. Because I was surprised. I'm surprised that they crossed paths at all, to be honest. Because I'm expecting them just to keep them both separately away from each other. Reigns is dubbed as the next John Cena. So it would make sense for Reigns to overcome John Cena in a match down the line. But at the moment, as they're building Reigns up, I think it'd be best to keep him away from John Cena entirely. So for them to actually fight during this match was a huge surprise and actually quite a cool moment. Epic was what I'd say. It was quite cool. Now, they did tease it the whole way through the match. So when we finally got it, I was like, yes, this is awesome. That was cool. Best spot of the night was when Roman Reigns did that thing where he jumps up with his 2 feet on the ring ring apron, but he did it to all 3 of them. He did it to John Cena, who was balanced on the second rope. He did it to Randy Orton, balanced on the announce table, and then round the other end to hit it on Kane, who was balanced on the bottom rope, and then using the same momentum in that split second, then speared Randy Orton through the barricade. I mean, that all happened in like fucking 10 seconds. That was like spot of the night. Spot of the night. Forget the double suplex that Eric Rowan did. There was even like a quadruple electric chair kind of superplex thing during this match. But that spot I remember from Roman Reigns. That was cool. That was fucking cool. We haven't seen anything cool like that for ages, and I loved it. But the inevitable happened. Now, I did like the fact that what they did at Money in the Bank was they kept the shit away. They just didn't let John Cena hit his shit, which would just get shat on by the crowd. John Cena really didn't do a lot during this match. He spent a lot of time outside the ring, like what they did at Money in the Bank. They let Reigns control a hell of a lot of the match. It was all about Randy Orton and Kane as well. John Cena really didn't do a lot during this match, which I'm not too bothered about, because it would have just got shat on by the crowd. But they don't understand that John Cena's their #1 guy. He's the good guy. So let the fans boo him. If we don't like him, let us boo him and let us have our say, and let us tell you we don't like him. He's failing. If he's supposed to be your #1 guy, this Superman guy, the good guy, the #1 top guy, and we're booing him, then he's obviously not working out as the guy you want him to be. So whether you're going to protect him by not letting him hit his shit in the middle of the ring is just stupid, because his gimmick isn't working anymore. It hasn't worked for the last 10 years. So why keep him outside the ring and save him from getting booed when that's not going to stop people from thinking we don't like him? It's just trying to protect John Cena as being this superhero guy that everybody likes. But nobody does. Currently there's a huge minority that do now. So why bother protecting these boos? I don't know. I'm just done. Anyway, you could say that a lot of people didn't complain that we've just had another Randy Orton and John Cena main event. Did anybody comment on that? Kane, I'm just done with this guy. Why is this guy still getting main event World Championship matches? Reigns, I was so glad he was in this match, because this was just Roman Reigns shining at his best. I mean, they really made Reigns look like gold in this match. And that was probably the biggest positive of the night, was how good they made Reigns look tonight. Wow. He looked golden. Biggest disappointment about this match was the crowd. I mean, they didn't pop for Reigns. They didn't pop for Cena, definitely. And they definitely didn't pop for Orton or Kane. They just weren't into this match. I mean, the match was good. It was entertaining. But nobody was really into it in the crowd. Nobody was really, yes, this is awesome. Nobody was really into it. Nobody was shouting from the rooftops. It was just there. Now, it was a bit of a finisher fest as well. Reigns hit his Superman punch way too many times. He hit the spear 2+ times. I think it was more than 2 times, maybe. The chokeslam was hit. I think the AA was hit about 2 or 3 times. The RKO was hit about once, I think. Maybe twice, maybe pushing it. Too many finishes. Too many finishes. Too many finishes. I mean, I think that took it away a bit. I think that took away from the actual match a little bit. There was too many finishes. God, it reminded me of Rock against Cena too. At WrestleMania 29. Too many finishes ruins a good match. And it was a good match. It was a good match. But we all knew in the end that it was predictable, and John Cena is going to face Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. So it had to be an entertaining match for us to be happy. And it was. It was an entertaining match at the end of the day. But we all knew John Cena was winning, didn't we? We all knew John Cena was winning the match. I mean, too many in this video, isn't there? Because it was just a disappointing pay-per-view. It really was a disappointing pay-per-view. But actually, going into the main event, I didn't really know what to think. I mean, I was like, it could be good. It could be good, but I know John Cena's winning. So, surprise me and make it a good match. And maybe let me forget Cena won and just have a good match. And they made Reigns look like gold, which was even better. The match was good, but they made Reigns look gold, which was awesome. That got a thumbs up from me. So in my opinion, I thought the main event was the second best match of the night. And I'll give it a 8 out of 10. I thought it was a solid, decent, good match. As well as the WWE Tag Team Championship match. I think that was match of the night. The main event wasn't too far off. But everything else was just way below it. I think if you're looking at the next match, which was entertaining as them two, you'd have to drop down to the Battle Royal, which is a Battle Royal. It's not renowned for entertainment. And then if you were looking for a match which was as entertaining as that, you'd have to go to the Rusev against Swagger match, maybe. Then you'd have to go for Jericho against Bray Wyatt, AJ Lee against Paige, Adam Rose, and then Fandango. Maybe Cameron against Naomi, the worst match of the night. I mean, there was a hell of a lot of matches which didn't deliver. A hell of a lot. Adam Rose against Fandango did not deliver. Didn't feel like a pay-per-view match. It was not a pay-per-view match. It wasn't a match I'd pay $60 for. Cameron against Naomi, very short, and it was a cat fight. That wasn't technical. What even was it? AJ Lee against Paige, sloppy. They talked the whole way through the match. Botchy, just disappointing. I expected a hell of a lot more. Rusev against Swagger, just one more squash match. Another squash match. Rollins against Ambrose didn't even get started. I wanted to see it, guys. The build was great tonight, but I wanted to see it. Jericho against Bray Wyatt, just a standard match I'd probably see on a Raw. Nothing outstanding about that match. And I've seen a lot better Bray Wyatt matches this year. Chris Jericho is a great worker, so I'm really a bit bugged about that. The Battle Royal, entertaining match. But The Miz won. Ugh. So let's look at the positives just to close this off. The WWE Tag Team Championship match, one of the best matches of the year. What a great opener. What a great opener. They opened the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, stole the show. They opened this pay-per-view, stole the show. The Usos, the Wyatt family, two great tag teams, and the Wyatt family sadly lost the momentum here. But what a great way to start the show. It really got the crowd going. And the Usos, every time they go for that splash onto the outside, the crowd just pops. They are over as fuck. They really are. Swagger against Rusev, I'll be happy to see that happen at SummerSlam. Yes, the match wasn't great, but the build towards it was even more impressive, so I'd like to see some more segments between Zeb Coulter and Lana. No problems there. Really interested to see how they book Miz coming out of this. I might not agree with Miz winning the championship, but I'm interested to see how they will build Miz after this and what his opponent will be at SummerSlam. Probably maybe Dolph Ziggler or Bad News Barrett. John Cena winning, very excited to see what's going to come between him and Brock Lesnar. Lesnar returns tonight on Raw. Hugely intrigued. Hugely intrigued what's going to happen between them two. More positives. Ambrose against Rollins. What can I say? The build tonight was fantabulous. Fantastic, fabulous, everything. Any word you can think of which is positive. The build towards Rollins and Ambrose was just made 100 times better tonight. They aired a great promo of the Shield. And I thought, did they really need that? I mean, I'm already bought into this storyline. I'm already into it. I just want to see their match. And they spent the whole of tonight building it up again. So it went from a 10 times brilliant match to like 1,000 times better. I mean, this feud is one of the best feuds of this 2014 so far. Made even better tonight with the build they did tonight on Raw, on Battleground. Great build. So all in all, a bit of a disappointing show. A few positives like the Rollins and Ambrose feud. The WWE Tag Team Championship match in the main event were great matches and great positives, but apart from that, a lot of it fell flat on their face. Hugely disappointing for the Wyatts. AJ Lee against Paige. sloppy. Very sloppy. Huge disappointment. Swagger against Rusev could have been better. Jericho, disappointing first pay-per-view match back. What did you guys think? I'll give it overall as 5 out of 10. One of the worst pay-per-views of the year. I'll still stay positive. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you have in fact enjoyed this video. Take care. As always, spike your hair. 5 out of 10 for Battleground in my opinion.